Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video on Lumber Capital Log Yard. Today I'm going to be talking about Fleck, what it is, and why it's desired by woodworkers all around the world. Anyways, let's get into this video. So today we have all white oak on the deck, and we're just going to be doing what we did yesterday, cutting for the flooring company storybook. But seeing all these crazy patterns that the Fleck can make in the lumber, it just got me thinking maybe we should dive a little bit deeper into what causes that. And I think I did a video on it a while back, but it's about time for an update anyhow. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do is mill up one of these logs so we have a good example to show, and talk a little bit more about it after that. So let's go ahead and roll this first log on here. Jade and I took the time to just wet down some of these boards, and I think that they will act as good examples of what I'm going to be talking about. And I want to start off by just looking a little bit deeper into the making of the tree. So basically there are a bunch of wood cells that run vertically up and down the tree, and their job is to carry fluids from the roots up through the tree and to the leaves. But there are also cells that run horizontally from the bark to the inner core. And basically their job is a little bit different. Their purpose is to store starches and sugars. And you can only see these cells if you mill a certain way to where the grain runs a certain way in your lumber. And I'm going to show you that here. So only when the grain runs horizontal is the Fleck fully visible, and you can see on these two pieces is where a lot of the Fleck shows up. And as you can see, well, I don't actually know if you can see it, but this is the core right here. That was the center of the log, and the grain is running straight up and down in that piece. And I mean, just look at some of the patterns in this one. So actually I lied. Sometimes you can see the Fleck when your grain is horizontal, but it looks different because you're actually looking at the end of it. So imagine that your Fleck is kind of like your flat hand, right? I'm just gonna use this as an example, okay? Don't make fun of me. Just kidding. But when your grain is horizontal, it's basically like this. You're seeing just the end of it, and it's just this like little sliver in the wood that you see. But imagine that when you cut it so that your grain is vertical, you're basically seeing the face of it. So it's a lot larger, there's a lot more surface area, hence it shows up more. So let me show you what it looks like on a piece that the grain is horizontal. This is what it looks like when it's on its end, kinda. Can you see that? Where it's just like, that is ray fleck in there. It's just on its end, so it's not as visible. A lot of woodworkers find that it's worth paying extra for the added detail that it can bring to any piece. So even though we have been plane sawing all of this white oak, you actually get a few technically quarter-sawn pieces by default, and it might not actually be considered quarter-sawn, but the grain is vertical, so that makes the ray fleck visible, and that's basically your whole goal when quarter-sawing, is to get your grain vertical. So that's we may not have used the quarter-sawing method, but we got that end result, and that is literally just by default. And I wanted to give you this example so you understand how that really works. If you take a look at this piece of wood here, and you can imagine it canted up right into a square, and then you're going to plane saw and you're cutting down, and all the grain's pretty much horizontal, 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 but right here, if you imagine a 1-inch board out of that, all that grain's running vertical through there. So you get 1 or 2 pieces, depending on how large the log is, obviously, that the ray fleck is visible in, because like you saw here, if the grain is vertical, that happens by default when plane sawing. That's it for today's video, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time.